Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Bismillahil-Fattahil-Alim. Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Dear subscriber, hope you will be fine and in the high state of iman and health. Myself, motivational speaker, leadership business coach, master trainer, language trainer, Professor MA Raza. So today we are going to describe our first question of sons and lovers. Question number 1: describe Freudian or Sigmund Freud, Freudian Oedipus complex in Sons and Lovers. So as you know that if before going to start the answer, as you know, there are three important things in this Freudian Oedipus complex, Freudian view, and then in Sons and Lover we are going to produce it. So first discuss about Oedipus complex. The idea of the Oedipus complex is derived from the legend of King Oedipus of Thebes in ancient Greece. Oedipus unknowingly killed his father and married his mother. He begot two sons and two daughters. Two sons and two daughters from her. Freud, a German psychologist, used the terms Oedipus complex to signify the manifestation of the sexual desires of the child for the parent of the opposite sex. For example, sexual desires of the sons for mother and conflict with father. Webster's dictionary explains the Oedipus complex as, now here is the definition from Webster dictionary: the unconscious tendency of a child to be attached to the parent of the opposite sex and hostile towards the other parents. Its persistence in adult life results in a neurotic disorder. This is the definition from Webster's dictionary. Thus, the son in his every infancy is sexually attached to the mother. At the same time, there is corresponding hatred of the mother. At the same time, there is corresponding hatred of the father. The son, when he is excessively attached to the mother, develops the Oedipus complex and suffers from mother's fixation. Sons and Lovers is the first Freudian novel in the English literature. The Oedipus complex is the centralized theme of the novel. It covers a large space and is a dominant factor in the novel. Paul is too much emotionally attached to his mother, Mrs. Morrel, and suffers from mother's fixation, and mother image often pops up to stand between him and the objects of his love, Miriam and Clara. The Oedipus complex has been widely diffused over the canvas of the novel. Lawrence and Oedipus complex. It is a fact that Lawrence is suffered from the Oedipus complex in his life. He was a victim of a deep-rooted mother fixation complex in his life. He was a victim of deep-rooted mother fixation. His mother, Lydia Lawrence, had a very strong hold on him. He also loved his mother passionately, like a lover. The mother was dissatisfied in her marriage, took great care of the son. Dissatisfied in her marriage and took great care of the son. The son, being sickly and weak, depended on her, and she gave him warmth of life, inspiration and love. Owing to it, he was never able to establish to establish a happy emotional relationship with other women. He was a torture. He was a torture. He was a torture soul throughout his life, and his suffering, his observation reflected in Son and Lovers. The next major point, Oedipus complex in Son and Lover. Now we are going to now we are going to implement the Son and Lover and Oedipus complex and merge it. William and his mother in the novel. William and his mother in the novel, the unhappy married life of Lawrence parents is reflected in the ill-matched and unhappy marriage between Walter Morrell, a miner, and Gertrude Morrell, an educated and cultural lady. After the birth of first son William, Mrs. Morrell begins to alienate and hate her husband as his mother. As William grows up, he also begins to hate his father at the instance of his mother. Mrs. Morrell is frustrated in her marriage and seeks emotional fulfillment in the son William. William is handsome and William is handsome, and a number of girls come to see him. The mother is possessive and does not want her son to make friendship with girls. She become jealous. She become jealous of them. She cannot tolerate William's girlfriend Gype and criticizes her. Williams is torn between his attachment for his mother and love for his beloved. Paul and his father. The Oedipus complex leads to envy of the father. Mrs. Morrell mercilessly casts off her husband. The mother encourages her son to hate his father. Paul looks upon his father as his rival in his monopoly over his mother's love. As a result, there develops a feeling of hatred and hostility between father and the son. Paul, Miriam, and Clara. Here is a triangle, and we are going to discuss it as in the Oediporal complex situation for sons and lovers, and we are going the next edge of Oediporal complex. Paul's unhealthy and abnormal relationship with his mother results in his failure to establish normal sexual and emotional relationship with other women. He fails in his relationship with Miriam and Clara, mainly because of his love for his mother. The mother fixation in him is so strong that he cannot give himself freely and fully to Miriam. The Oedipus complex in him has weakened him emotionally. He is glued to his mother spiritually and emotionally. If not sexually, Paul always seeks mother image in his woman. Clara is simply rejected because he fails to find in her the mother image. Miriam is only spiritual substitute of the mother. So being dissatisfied with both Miriam and Clara, he clings on to his mother. Mrs. Morrell, you haven't met the right woman. Mrs. Morrell, you haven't met the right woman. ये वो कहती हैं उसको. ये जो है ना वो नॉवल के अंदर मेन उसकी वर्डिक्ट है, उसके जो है ना वो वर्डिंग है जो आपको जो है ना वो मिल जाती है, और इसका लेक्चर जो है ना वो अलग से चैनल के ऊपर मौजूद है. And this is also available, and these are the main verdict of the novelist, and the verdict and the wording of the character Mrs. Morrell, and that is available in the chapters, and all the chapter based summary is available on my channel also. You haven't met the right women. Paul replies, and I shall never meet the right woman while you live. And I shall never meet the right woman while you live. Paul stands in the web of the Freudian psychoanalysis as a fly, and the mother, Mrs. Morrell, plays a spider, always preying upon. Always preying upon him. He affection is her affection is just a mask. There are sinister forces underneath, and these are the domain of the Oedipus complex. Even in the death of the mother, there is no release for Paul. He will be haunted by her soul forever. In the end, Paul swear his connection. Paul swear his connection. Paul swear his connection both with Miriam and Clara, and becomes indifferent to life and death alike. Thus, the Oedipus complex, in the guise of mother fixation, is responsible for the other tragedy of Paul. So here, it was the main idea that we have discussed as all the major point about Freudian Oediporal complex, and we have discussed in detail, and it was the answer of the question. So let me go now, and before going, I request to you that subscribe our official channel Professor MA Raza, subscribe our Urdu channel Open Cause Info TV, and subscribe our media channel for real change, Inqilab TV Mandi Wadeen. So let me go now and say with me, do something more for humanity, do something more for knowledge and practices. Bye bye.